Hi, this is Bhavna and you're watching India Today. I have Siddharth Roy Kapur, the man behind so many big films that we have already seen and enjoyed on the big screen here with me, right? First, with Mami, I want to know your association has been pretty long. You have seen things change over the time. What has been one thing that really excites you today as an audience and a producer?
Firstly, thanks for having me. I think, I've been on the board of Mami now for quite a few years, probably almost a decade. And I think what has stayed consistent has been Mami's commitment to being able to bridge different worlds when it comes to cinema. I think Word to Screen is a great example of that. I think when you get the world of literature and the world of filmmaking together, to get authors and writers on the same page as filmmakers, directors, producers, in a structured way, to be able to give them a chance to tell each other stories that they might want to adapt. It happens a lot by default otherwise, but this is by design. And I think that's such an important platform. So I'm very proud that Mami is able to give platforms to creative people like this. And I think what's remained consistent is the fact that, just the love for cinema. I mean, as an audience, since you asked, I think it's just about being able to see as many movies as I can this Mami. What we do usually is land up for the opening and the closing films and then not have the time to watch the other movies. This year, I want to make an effort to watch them all.
The recent example could be the Cello, the last show. I mean, I remember talking to you back then, and you said that the filmmaker said that not many people believed in that story back then, but you did, and you've been doing that consistently. I want to understand, when you took that show, and there was obviously such a huge uproar, people loved it, there was so much appreciation. How did that change the perspective that people have towards cinema like that? Because today, perhaps they would be much more willing to invest in a project like that.
I think last film show was really a labor of love. It was a story of Pan-Allans growing up in a small, village in Gujarat and falling in love with movies. And I think anyone who's associated with movies in any capacity will remember that one moment in their childhood when they really fell in love with the magic of cinema. So I found it an incredibly relatable story. And I'm so glad that the Academy found the same, where we were shortlisted, in the final list of 15.
And only very few movies are able
It's the fourth film in Indian cinema that managed to get that far. Of course, we would have liked to go further and be further nominated, but we weren't. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I think these are the efforts that we need to try to keep making around the world, to be able to keep telling our stories, being able to get as many people to watch it as possible, and being able to just back filmmakers who have unique stories to tell. It'll happen. In time, it'll happen.
But you have been, again, I need to stress on the fact that Roy Kapur films have been doing this since a long time. Be it any film. I was just going through the filmography because it's so hard to keep up sometimes, and I was like, oh my god, back then no one would have thought that this film would have worked on the big screen, but today they are considered one of the cults, and that needs a lot of conviction by the producer as well, that okay, I'm willing to do this. You're thinking long term. Now that also means that there are a lot of naysayers back then, right, which today they'll probably reverse. But what keeps that conviction going, Siddharth? Because I know that it's not easy, especially because a lot of money is involved, a lot of effort, creative teamwork is involved. So what keeps that conviction that, okay, no, I believe in this and I know this will be a crusader or be a game changer in some way?
No, the only thing that really keeps you going in this business is the courage of your own conviction, because it's not a binary yes or no business, black or white. There are no right answers or wrong answers. And finally, you have to go with someone's gut, and it might as well be your own. You'll make mistakes sometimes, but then at least let them be your own mistakes rather than someone else's. That's a lesson that I've actually learned the hard way because of the number of years that I've been doing this, where sometimes you back something, but you didn't believe in it that much yourself, but you're going with someone else's conviction. I think it's very important for you to go with your own conviction. You might go wrong, but hopefully you'll go more right than wrong, and then at least you'll make your own mistakes, and then your successes will also be your own.
Yeah. With Word to Screen, now I want to know, how do you look at it? Because we have seen a lot of adaptations when it comes to a book being adapted into a series or a film. It comes with its own challenges as a filmmaker, as a film producer. How do you sanction a project when it is sort of an adaptation, because you have to keep, one, the expectations of the audience in mind. Second, will it be able to reproduce? I mean, because when you read a book, there's an imagination that each audience members have, and it comes with its own share of pros and cons. How do you weigh that? How do you decide that, okay, this is a book worth adapting into a film?
It's very hard to put a finger on exactly what it is that one looks for, but I think what's most important, you look for a really interesting plot, a great story, great characters, what you would look for in a screenplay as well. And I think a book just calls out to you to be adapted when you're in that world and you're living in that world through the time that you're reading it and can't wait to tell the story in the audiovisual medium. Yeah. It's that gut feeling that you have at the end of it. Then of course all the usual considerations about budget, potential scale, cast, the sort of commercial potential of the story, etc., all come into play. I mean, I saw Guide on the weekend, after many years, because of the Devanand Festival, and I have to say that that's such a great example of a book that made it to the screen back in '65, where the characters feel so human. Yeah. It was a commercial Hindi film. It had great music. It had all the songs and dances, all the things we love our cinema for. But it had layered, complex characters, a great story, and the fact that someone was able to back that more than 60 years ago gives us, the inspiration that we should continue doing that today.
It's amazing that you mentioned Guide, because it just brought back so many memories and the conviction that we were talking about. But you mentioned that the books, they literally call out that they want to be adapted. When was the last time you felt that? Or is there something in pipeline where a book has called out to you that, Siddharth, let's adapt this into a film?
The last time it happened to me was when I read The Anarchy by William Dalrymple, which is the story of the East India Company in India. Again, the way that William's written the book is so compelling. What an incredible story to tell. It's our story. We should be telling it, and so I, contacted him and the publishers immediately, and I got the rights to tell it. It's a monumental undertaking. It's going to take us a while to put it together, but that's a story that we as Indians should be telling the world.
And lastly, now I want to know about the upcoming projects. Of course, Tumse Na Ho Payega is one of the, which I've absolutely loved, by the way. The trailer is amazing. But there's also Pipa coming in, which I'm really excited for. What is happening? When is it coming out?
We haven't locked a release date yet. We're just in the throes of post-production right now. So we'll be announcing a release soon. We've got that. We've got Wo Ladki Hai Kahan with Taapsee Pannu and Prateek Gandhi. We've got quite a few series in the pipeline as well. There's a film that we start with Shahid Kapoor in October. It's an untitled film. That's a very exciting action thriller as well. So quite a bit going on.
Okay, lastly, if I have to ask you, if you had to watch something, like not as a producer, now this is completely as an audience, a word to screen, like you read a book, you thought that, oh, I wish someone could have done this, not you particularly, which is that one book which you still want to see being adapted into a series or a long format or a film format, and it does not necessarily need to be Roy Kapur films.
There's a book called The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese that I read recently, which is a beautiful epic drama. It's got medicine, it's got history, it's got huge high stakes drama, multiple generations of a family. That's a book that I think can definitely be adapted.
Wow, lovely. So I hope someone is listening so they can do it. If not, then you'll only do it, I'm sure. But thank you so much. And I hope that you keep doing and keep pushing the envelope, because I keep saying this, but if you all don't do it, no one else would. So thank you so much.
Thank you.